Tonight on News 22,
Andrea Vasquez brings you tips on how to stay safe from scams.
a local reaction to President Trump's tweet about Puerto Rico.
And the Aggies take on the Lobos this weekend at Aggie Memorial Stadium.
All that and more on News 22 Thursday.
Serving southern New Mexico, this is the award-winning KRWG-TV News 22, where news matters.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Victoria Valderrama.
And I'm Shelby Kapp. For the past 10 years, scammers have been pretending to be campus police to fool students that they need to pay them to avoid jail time.
Andrea Vasquez takes a closer look at the perspective of an NMSU student and how to avoid being scammed.
NMSU student doesn't want her name or her identity revealed. She recently lost all of her money to phone scammers pretending to be campus police.
It basically tore me to tears, actually.
Scammers called her using the campus police number, telling her that her identity had been stolen and needed to pay fines, could potentially lose all of her scholarships to NMSU, and could be taken to jail.
Basically, once it was done, all my money was gone. He tried to get me to use my parents' credit cards. I sent $2,000 to him with $30 left into my account because he seemed honest. He really did. And I finally just broke down, telling my parents everything. At that point, I just actually wallowed, made cookies, cried a lot, and basically just continued on trying to get more money, still going to school, and telling anyone about people basically getting scammed to not also get scammed themselves.
According to the FBI's website on scams and safety, there are more than 30 different scams, and according to an online article by the University of San Diego, 1 in every 5 people will lose money to a scam every year, with annual losses estimated at $50 billion.
If you have been victim to phone scams and know other college students who may have been scammed, immediately contact local law enforcement and notify the university. I talked to the real campus police for more knowledge on phone scams and how to know whether the real police are calling you.
It's important for students to understand no real police department will ever call them on the phone to tell them they have a warrant. They're trying to take advantage of people who are young and haven't had much exposure to criminal activity before. If a police officer is asking for money, it's illegal. It's a bribe. One of the things we encourage students to do is be skeptical.
And this NMSU student's final advice to others?
Don't look at a number, and if you don't recognize it or anything, and if you happen to pick it up, make sure that you're smart and know that they may be convincing. Always double question what someone's telling you.
With the help of her parents, she's still attending NMSU and hopes to graduate this school year. But next time she gets a call, she hopes to be a little wiser. With News 22, I'm Andrea Vasquez.
A Las Cruces man is in jail after allegedly beating his pregnant girlfriend last month. 23-year-old Joel Gutierrez is charged with a felony count of aggravated battery and a misdemeanor count against a household member. Investigators say that Gutierrez was in the girlfriend's apartment when he pushed her into the living room and allegedly began choking her until she convinced him to stop because of her pregnancy. Gutierrez was arrested and is being held with a $5,000 bond.
A wanted Mexican man is behind American bars tonight after he was caught illegally crossing the border in Isleta on Monday. Border Patrol agents learned that the 39-year-old Rusbel Zamaron Calderon was previously deported and had an outstanding warrant for 3 counts of rape of his own 15-year-old daughter in Tennessee. Zamorano is in custody in El Paso, waiting extradition to the Tennessee Sheriff's Office to face charges and allegations made against him.
You know, it's been really hot lately, and I'm starting to wonder if it's ever going to cool down.
I know, it's almost fall actually, so hopefully we start to see cooler temperatures. And Jackie is next with our local forecast.
All right, thanks you guys. So today was definitely a warm day for us here in the borderland. Now skies right now are clear. Our temperature 91 degrees. Winds nice and slow coming from the west at 3 miles per hour. Our humidity at 15%. Our dew point at 42 degrees and a barometer at 29.70 inches. Now today we hit a high of 96, which is well above our average of 88 after an overnight low of 65 degrees. Now taking a look back at record temperatures in 2000, we hit a high of 98 degrees. So we were close to breaking record temperatures today, but we missed it by 2 degrees. And in 1968, we hit a low of a chilly 48 degrees. Now no rain for us today, but our yearly rainfall still sits at 3.96 inches. Now that's all I have for your current conditions. I'll be back later with your national forecast, but for right now, back to Vicki and Shelby at the desk.
Scientists are starting to look over data from a rocket launch yesterday from New Mexico Spaceport America. Critics of the spaceport say there should be more rocket launches, and they're worried that the spaceport is a big waste of money.
News 22's Marlene Barraza tells us what this rocket carried and if the launch means the spaceport is living up to its hype.
As the sun peeked through the mountains, crew members, nearby residents, and even the Army waited to see what for some was their first rocket launch. In the rocket was a NASA experiment that looked like a closed umbrella. It's a new lightweight heat shield that when it's opened, it will disperse heat away from a spacecraft so it won't burn up returning to Earth.
Once it's kicked out from the rocket up in space, it opens up to then have that entry vehicle shape, just like your regular umbrella, and then it descends back down to the ground in that shape all the way through the remainder of the flight.
The rocket went up more than 60 miles. The payload landed at White Sands Missile Range. The spaceport CEO says without the spaceport, this would never happen in New Mexico. In 2016, the New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson made a partnership with Virgin Galactic's Richard Branson to build a spaceport. The state allotted $220 million to build a spaceport. Both Doña Ana and Sierra counties raised taxes to help pay for it. With many Spaceport America launches going under the radar, New Mexicans may be wondering where their tax money has gone. Spaceport doesn't only rely on big companies like Virgin Galactic. It takes many companies working together to take off. Spaceport CEO Daniel Hicks says the spaceport was a good idea and showed leadership. Without it, he says New Mexico would be falling behind in the commercial space race.
New Mexico's ahead of all of them. We have wonderful infrastructure in place that can support these capabilities as they mature and come online. And that's where the industry is at right now.
But should citizens worry?
Citizens of Doña Ana and Sierra County and New Mexico, smart decision that we all made 10 years ago.
The spaceport is expected to deliver nearly $75 million for the state by 2029. In the meantime, testing will go on.
So far, it seems like everything went well. We're going to be poring over the data in the next few days, and then we'll see if it performed as we expect.
One NASA representative said this test could also be a milestone in developing technology to safely return astronauts from Mars. Marlene Barraza, News 22.
Las Cruces is still waiting for an affordable and renewable option for electricity. El Paso Electric decided to withdraw its voluntary community solar program for New Mexico. Mary Kipp, the president and CEO of El Paso Electric, released a statement saying she was disappointed they would not be moving forward with the program. El Paso Electric says they are looking for other opportunities for New Mexicans and are still working to expand their Texas programs.
Secretary of State Maggie Toulouse Oliver is still looking for ways to encourage voting after a New Mexico Supreme Court ruling on Wednesday. The Supreme Court ruled that Toulouse Oliver did not have the authority to make the change from split ticket voting to straight ticket voting. Their decision was unanimous. As of now, there will not be any change in the method of voting. Family border apprehensions are still on the rise. More than 16,000 families were apprehended in August. The overall number of people arrested or stopped at the border was up 17% in July and 52% in August. Administration officials say that the ending of the 1997 Flores Agreement will speed up the process in handling asylum requests and deterring people from illegally crossing the border.
Immigration reform is a huge topic right now, but what kind of reform do Americans actually want? A new poll from the Bipartisan Policy Center tries to answer that question. Teresa Cardenal Brown is the center's director in immigration and cross-border policy. She was in town for the 11th annual Dominici Public Policy Conference and sat down with KRWG after her presentation to discuss the survey results.
And stay tuned, Jackie will be back with your national forecast.
And later, an amazing event is opening soon in Las Cruces for family and friends. More on that when News 22 continues.
At a recent KRWG coffee visit, we talked with KRWG fans about why they value public media.
The fact that you're here in T or C says a lot to me, that you're interested in our community.
KRWG is my major source of information and entertainment.
Please support public radio. If not for yourself, do it for me.
Become a member online at krwg.org or call 1-888-922-5794. Thank you. Registering to vote in New Mexico is easy. Forms are available at Department of Motor Vehicles offices and your county clerk's office. And those with a driver's license or other state ID may register to vote online at sos.state.nm.us. You must be 18 years old at the time of the next election. Voting is a responsibility of citizenship. This message brought to you by KRWG.
Welcome back. You're watching News 22 Thursday,
where news matters. It's Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and here at NMSU, students are educating the community on the severity of mental health.
Many people pledge to help spread awareness on the prevention of suicide. Aggies for Hope aims to help students who struggle to reach out for help or learn the warning signs of suicide. The Counseling Undergraduate Society is one organization that was outside Corbett Center selling stuffed animals to try and raise money for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention.
Us personally, because we're still studying it, we're technically not allowed to give like therapy or anything like that, but we do connect people with resources that can help. You know, we have the counseling center here that is free of charge to students. There are like myriad of people and organizations on campus that, you know, help with those type of things.
Numbers to call include the National Suicide Hotline, which can be reached at 1-800-SUICIDE. The latest growing trend among baby boomers is one you probably wouldn't expect.
In today's Health Minute, Luis Casares explains how seniors are getting in on the cannabis craze.
Baby boomers are putting down the crochet needles and picking up the pipe, the marijuana pipe that is. According to a national survey on drug use and health, about 9% of adults between 50 and 64 have used marijuana at least once during the 12-month survey period. And for adults over 65, about 3%. The study published in the Journal of Drug and Alcohol Dependence surveyed nearly 18,000 adults across the country and found that the number of cannabis users have doubled over nearly a decade. One of the authors says that while marijuana use is gaining popularity with older Americans, most aren't newbies when it comes to pot or other substances. Nearly 5% of middle-aged marijuana users abused alcohol, and 3.5% misused opioids. Among older adults, 1.5% abused alcohol and 1.2% misused opioids. For today's Health Minute, I'm Luis Casares.
Today, President Trump sent out a tweet just 1 week before the one-year anniversary of Hurricane Maria that hit Puerto Rico. He said he believed the reported death toll of 3,000 people to be false. He said when he left the island after the storm, the death toll was only 6 to 18 deaths.
Thursday, September 20th, is going to be the first year anniversary of Hurricane Maria. We cannot lose sight that Hurricane Maria was the most catastrophic, destructive hurricane that had ever crossed path in Puerto Rico in 100 years. This changed our lives forever. Puerto Rico will not be the same. And then for having people who still trying to take that away from us and that reality and try to minimize what happened. Our hearts are broken and will still be broken because we lost a lot of people due to negligence. So for people to make those statements with no basis for them, that's pretty disheartening.
And get ready to get lost. The Mesilla Valley Maze opens on September 29th. The maze is celebrating its 20th year. The fall attraction will be featuring hay rides, giant slides, and pumpkin patches. The maze will be open every weekend from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's located at 3855 West Picacho and will be open until October 28th.
Last I heard, Hurricane Florence was making its way to the Carolinas and Virginia.
I know, it's been in news headlines everywhere. And Jackie is next with our national forecast.
You guys are definitely right. Hurricane Florence is a big topic throughout the country. Now, this hurricane dropped down from a Category 4 hurricane to a Category 2, but it is still expected to cause extreme damage across the eastern part of the U.S. Now, Florence impacts do include historic rainfall, flooding, damaging winds, isolated tornadoes, and devastating storm surge. Now, the places that are most impacted by these damages are Wilmington and Charlotte. So these people are going to be looking at a lot of damaging conditions throughout the next couple of days. Now, this is expected to last up until Monday. Now, the next map is showing that extreme flood conditions are to come with this hurricane. About 40 inches of rain is expected from this hurricane. You can see 40 inches of rain is expected to come along, especially around the Wilmington and Charlotte area. So again, flooding is a major thing that's going to happen across the eastern part of the U.S. Now, in the next map, winds as well are strong and they're coming fast. They can travel up anywhere to 39 miles per hour up to over 110 miles per hour. Now, the greatest impact, the most vulnerable is Wilmington and Myrtle Beach as well. So again, these people have evacuated, many people have evacuated their homes and taken cover. Now, that's all I have for your national forecast. I'll be back later after a break with your New Mexico weather.
Here and now, NPR News middays, weekday afternoons from noon to 2 on 90.7 FM and streaming live on KRWG.org.
Join KRWG Public Media as we kick off our Fall Pledge Drive at the Las Cruces Farmers Market on Saturday, September 22nd, starting at 8 a.m. We'll broadcast live from the Farmers Market and we'll have live entertainment, so stop by and say hi or tune in for this special Fall Pledge Drive event.
Coming up on Austin City Limits.
I could call you Betty, Betty, when you call me, you can call me out. Goodbye to Rosie, the queen of Corona. I'll see you, me and Julio down by the schoolyard. See you, me and Julio down by the schoolyard.
Saturday at 9 p.m. on KRWG Public Media.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at your New Mexico temperatures as of right now. Now, Farmington City at 91 degrees, Santa Fe cooler at 75, Gallup 78, Albuquerque 88, Ruidoso 86, and Deming at 90 degrees. Now, tomorrow your highs, Deming 94 degrees, Ruidoso 90 degrees, and Roswell as well. Albuquerque 91 and Clovis at 86 degrees. Now, taking a look at cities near our area, Alamogordo looking nice and clear tonight with a low of 63 degrees and a nice high of 92 degrees. Now, Trutherquenses, clear skies as well, a low of 65 and bright sunny skies with a high of 95 degrees. And in Silver City, clear skies throughout your night and tomorrow with a high of 86 degrees. And here in the city of Crosses, we're looking at a nice clear night tonight with a low of 65 degrees and a high of 94 with bright sunny skies. Now, that's all I have for your New Mexico weather. I'll be back at the end of the show with your 5-day forecast. But for right now, back to the girls at the desk.
The priest sex scandal has come to Texas.
That's the first story in tonight's Southwest Minute.
A Texas priest is accused of sexually assaulting a teen boy and girl around 18 years ago at a Catholic church in Conroe, Texas. Father Manuel La Rosa Lopez faces 4 counts of indecency with the child. La Rosa Lopez's accusers came forward recently after hearing about the church sexual abuse scandal. He turned himself in on Tuesday. A Las Vegas woman wants kidnapping charges after she was threatened by a man when she entered a car she thought was her Uber. Elizabeth Suarez realized she was in the wrong car with a stranger. The man took her wallet, then she jumped from the car when he tried to speed up. As of now, robbery is the only charge being investigated. California's Legoland amusement park is more than toy bricks. The park has a new exhibit that allows anyone to connect with the ocean. Guests board submarines that travel through an enormous aquarium. It has more than 2,000 fish, real sharks, and real stingrays. The park describes it as an interactive guide to sea creatures. I'm Nicole Everett with the Southwest Minute.
So, Shelby, there's a big game coming up this Saturday.
I know, I'm pretty excited. It's against our rivals, UNM. I'm sure Kristen is going to tell us all about that with sports. Kristen?
Thanks, Shelby. Coming up in sports, find out how Aggie fans think the football team will do in the Battle of I-25. We'll be right back with News 22 Sports.
We have a bucket list.
I'll say.
Yes.
It's a bucket list of foods we want to try.
I want to take you for your first slurp of ramen.
Slurp. We love food. We love people.
Yes.
Oh, this looks beautiful. What can I say? We love to flirt. But we're harmless. Speak for yourself.
Saturday morning at 9:30 on KRWG Public Media.
Hi, I'm Rick Steves. Join me in southeast England, where we'll admire Henry II's formidable castle, prowl through Britain's most historic warship, see where the Archbishop of Canterbury works, glide on a dreamy stream, holiday on a Victorian pier, marvel at a royal seaside pleasure palace, and hike an unforgettable bluff.
Saturday at 8 p.m. on KRWG Public Media.
22 Sports.
Welcome back. I'm Krista Mastretta, and let's talk sports. The Battle of I-25 is back. This Saturday, the NMSU football team is looking for their first win of the season against the UNM Lobos. The Aggies are currently 0-3 for the season, and the Lobos are 1-1. If the Aggies defeat the Lobos, this would be the 6th time in school history that NMSU has won 3 straight games against UNM. Last year, the Aggies defeated the Lobos 30-28, and in 2016, the Aggies won 32-31. Even though it may be a disappointing season so far, the NMSU community is hopeful for a win.
NMSU all the way. They're going to blow them out. My prediction, 34-6 NMSU.
Well, you know, it's a classic rivalry, and so I hope it gets the Aggies' blood boiling and that they're very successful.
The Battle of I-25 is set to start at 6 p.m. at Aggie Memorial Stadium on Saturday. The New Mexico State soccer team is headed to Albuquerque to take on the UNM Lobos. Last year, the Aggies defeated the Lobos 1-0. Currently, the Aggies are 1-6 overall for the season, and the Lobos are 3-3 overall. UNM is coming off a 2-1 victory over UTEP, which ended a 2-game losing streak. The rivalry game is set to start at 7:30 p.m. on Friday at the UNM Soccer Complex. The women's golf team is back after finishing 14th at the Dick McGuire Invite. They finished 48 over par during the 2-day 54-hole event. Ponchana Chai led the Aggies with a score of 222 and finished in a tie for 37th place. The golf team will now head to Fort Collins, Colorado for the Ptarmigan Ram Classic, which will take place September 17th through the 19th. Viewers from across the world will now be able to watch New Mexico State sports on 11 Sports. Mario Mocha announced that the New Mexico State Department of Athletics will be partnering with 11 Sports. Viewers will be able to watch football, men's and women's basketball, and select Olympic sports. High school football is back in action this week. The Oñate Knights will face off against the America's Trailblazers in El Paso, Texas tonight at 7. On Friday, Centennial will play Sandia at the Field of Dreams at 7, and the Las Cruces Bulldogs will have an away game against the Rio Rancho Rams. The Mayfield Trojans will play on Saturday at 1 at the Field of Dreams at 1 p.m. and will take on Cleveland. And that's all for sports tonight. Join us for more sports action next week. Still ahead on News 22, Jackie will be back to take a look at your 5-day forecast. But first, you might have recognized this local landmark in a recent car commercial. Find out which one when News 22 returns.
In the Hasidic enclave of Borough Park, Brooklyn, EMT jobs have traditionally been held by men.
Us religious women can't do this? Of course we can do it.
Meet a group of women taking matters into their own hands. 93 Queen.
Monday at 9 p.m. on KRWG Public Media.
He gripped my arm
and he started to massage my shoulders
in a forceful way.
He used his non-disclosure agreements.
It was a show of power.
I think a lot of people turned a blind eye at
and control.
I think his career is over, but who knows?
Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. on KRWG Public Media.
Let's take a look at today's top stories. A NMSU student is out of thousands of dollars after scammers pretended to be campus police. NMSU police say that they do not call asking for money. If you are called, notify the university. Donald Trump tweets that the death toll of 3,000 is incorrect. NMSU professor and Puerto Rico native says his tweet minimizes the devastating aftermath of Hurricane Maria. And Saturday, the Aggies will take on the Lobos. The Battle of I-25 begins at 6 p.m. If the Aggies win, it will be the 6th time in history.
Las Cruces is now featured in the 2018 Mercedes-Benz GLC 300 commercial. A 47-foot chili that is found sitting outside the Big Chili Inn Hotel on Picacho Avenue is the main attraction in this commercial. The chili was built in 2010 and was designed to attract tourists, which resulted in lots of attention and put Las Cruces on the map.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
I've definitely seen the Big Chili. Have you guys?
I grew up like passing by it all the time on my way to middle school.
We're famous.
Yeah. So Jackie, tell us about our next 5 days.
All right, you guys, so the next 3 days, nice and sunny, especially for the UNM game. So those of you who are going out to the UNM game, it's going to be nice and sunny all day. We do have a chance for some thunderstorms on Tuesday, but other than that, nice and warm for the rest of the week.
Really good news.
Yeah.
Perfect. We've been having good weather, but not fall weather.
Yeah, definitely.
And don't forget, you can catch all of today's aired stories and past newscasts on our YouTube page at youtube.com/KRWG News 22.
And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat for show updates and the latest on what the News 22 team is up to.
I'm Shelby Cap.
I'm Victoria Valderrama.
I'm Jackie Loeta. Good night.
This news brief in Español is brought to you by Noticias 22, Spanish language news for southern New Mexico and West Texas. Noticias 22.
Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a este breve informativo de Noticias 22. Con ustedes, Jazmín Anaya. Una tienda local está cerrando sus puertas definitivamente. El mercado Tucán sirvió a la comunidad de Las Cruces por más de 10 años, pero ha quebrado debido a la llegada de cadenas de supermercados nacionales. La tienda ofrecía descuentos para estudiantes universitarios y adultos mayores, quienes ahora tomarán ventaja de la venta de liquidación. Los trabajadores de la tienda trabajan duramente enfrentándose al reto de encontrar un nuevo trabajo, mientras que los clientes dejarán la tienda por última ocasión. Un hombre se encuentra detenido después de haber agredido a una mujer embarazada. El hombre, identificado como Joel Gutiérrez, huyó de la escena en el momento en que los oficiales llegaron al lugar. Gutiérrez fue finalmente detenido en el centro de detención del condado de Doña Ana. Muchas gracias por habernos acompañado. Esperamos contar con su sintonía en nuestro primer noticiero del semestre, que se presentará el día de mañana a través de nuestras redes sociales. Eso es todo de mi parte. Para Noticias 22, Jazmín Anaya.
Local support for a portion of today's programming is provided by Wells Fargo. Our support of Aggie students goes beyond just banking. By supporting News 22, we're giving back to the community. Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.